Good morning, afternoon, and evening to our listeners across the globe, and welcome to in12d. Today, we're in season 4, episode 39, Kids Read Without Eyes. I have in the studio with me my co host, Susie Vaughn. Susie?
Hey, hi Ramsey. Hi everybody. Welcome again to another amazing episode of in12d. I'm so excited today because our guest I've met her a couple of times at the Science and Consciousness Conference in the UK, and I'm really grateful that she's agreed to be with us. I'm sure by the title of the episode you're already intrigued with the word breakthrough and kids reading without eyes. It gives me great pleasure in welcoming Rachel Earing from Bury in the north of the UK. And Rachel is a founder and of the Live for Energy Training College. And she's also the founder of The Great Big Yawn. We'll be sharing lots of links to her work and to her how you can get in touch with her throughout the show, so keep in touch on that. It'll also be in the bio below if you're listening to this as an audio. But without much further ado, a warm welcome to you, Rachel. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it's a joy to be with you both. Thank you very much for the invite. I think we're going to have fun.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many areas we can go because your work is really covers lots of different areas. So we might just jump around a little bit, but I hope that everybody just stays with us, stay the course for this episode, because there's so much good stuff to hear about the work that Rachel's doing. And do you want to just dive straight in, Rachel, to the work that you're doing currently with kids reading with blindfolds? Like, how did that come about? Can you get us into that?
Well, probably the year I met you at Broughton for the Weird Unconsciousness event is probably the time that I saw on Gaia or Netflix. It was something, it wasn't Netflix. It must have been Gaia TV, Superhuman. And when I watched Superhuman, I saw these children with blindfolds on reading and was amazed and thought, oh gosh, I really want to teach that. That looks fantastic. I started to do a little bit of research and could only find it happening in the States and places like that. So basically, I then sort of went off on a tangent with all the other things that I was doing. And it came back at me about 12 months later. And when I saw it again, I realized that the children were English. And the lady, Nicola Farmer, who created the ICU Academy, was down south. So I quickly sort of got in touch with her and said, when's your next course? And the rest is sort of history. Booked on, of which there's a huge waiting list, and went down to London, did the course, met some really wonderful people, and then started to work with these absolutely amazing children.
Wow. And like, tell us, how does that work? How do kids read with a blindfold on? Like, how does that come about?
Well, it's been happening for a very, very long time. Nicola devised her own recipe, if you like, for this. She's a clairvoyant medium, and she downloaded her version of how to do this. She originally trained with somebody in Mexico, and then adapted her own version for this. And the children, we teach from 5 to 12 years of age, when they are sort of at the most open. And really, you don't need to do a great deal with them, but you need to be, I think, vibrating at a certain frequency for them to be able to trust that space and comfortably sit into that vibration of just allowing it to happen. And then once they start to open up, they get like a little window in their blindfold, and through that window, it starts like a little bit of a star, I think, that comes through. So it's like looking through cheesecloth, although you can't see the blindfold. The blindfold also has, I also put makeup pads in, because the children's eyes will start to weep like they do when you yawn. So that soaks up the tears. And then basically that window, we manage to get wider and wider, and they start to literally read blindfolded. I've just taken some young boys out to the park yesterday. They sorted out coloured balls from the red, took all the red balls, the plastic balls that are in bags. I took all the red balls out and put them into another area. Someone else took the green balls, and between them they sorted out all the coloured balls, and then we went out into the park and had some fun there.
Wow.
And what is funny though, Susie, is that these children are 6, and that you've got to work really, really quickly, because it doesn't take them long before they suddenly turn around and go, "I'm bored." And to us, it's like the most interesting thing in the world that's going on, but to them, it's like, I've got to do this again. Right? Okay, I'm bored now. What are we going to do now? And you have to work literally at the speed of light to keep them interested and at the pace that they need to work at. And it's just sort of highlighted to me how sedentary and how slow our whole lives have become, because to work at a child's speed that is the most natural for them, we would literally need to, we've really got to up our game. We've really got to up our game. We're far too sedentary. We are far too slow. We are far too they need to do what we need to, how we need to work. Actually, no, we need to up our game, because they're going to be teaching us what is needed next. The things that are coming through these children are blowing my mind. I'm now setting things up for the next 5 to 10 years to have discussions that include the children and their parents about what we are going to be doing in the next 5 to 10 years, because they need to know that there is something in place for them, and there's hope, and there is possibility and creativity.
How are the kids selected? Like, how do you find each other? What's the kind of prerequisite or the requirement?
They need to be children between 5 and 12, and they find me.
Wow. Do they feel superhuman? Do they feel like they're like, can they go home and do this with their family when you're not there?
Well, very much encouraged. Yes, they have homework. They have certain things that they're asked to do throughout the week. And it's also a huge lesson for the parents in the way that this is approached, because the parents need to be using certain language and behaving in certain ways to enable this, so that the children don't shut back down. Because them being so open, any negativity can literally just shut that back down again. So it really does need to be in the most positive place for everyone that's involved. So you'll find some children who they don't even talk to their friends about it. The children are not bothered. I must say, the children think, oh yeah, that's cool, I'll have a go at that. Oh, I can do that now. What's next? And the parents are like, like us, we're all amazed by it. So it's the adults that are absolutely, wow, this is just fantastic. The kids just literally take it in their stride and go, right, what's next? That's how fast they can do this.
And do you find then that when they get to the age of about 11 or 12, are they getting kind of too cool for doing that kind of thing? Do they kind of want to go do other things then, or
Yeah, I think it's a slower process. It's slightly, I'm finding it's the 6 and the 7-year-olds, they do this so quickly in the first few sessions. The 10 and 11-year-olds take a bit longer. And having tried this myself, the adults take a very long time. So it's the older we get, the more we put in the way, because we've got more questions, because we've got more baggage, because we've just got more of it, more matter, more whatever it is. And we put that in the way of this enablement that the younger children just, yeah, of course I can do that. They don't question it, they just do it. That's why.
Wow. And what are the other outcomes for the kids, like outside of the experience? Is it really supporting them in their day-to-day, in their regular school, and how they learn, how they pick up other information? Like what else is the experience?
It varies so much. I mean, I get some parents that come to me because their child is having difficulty, either with siblings or with the family or at school. They're having difficulty with anger or communication. So it's helping them become more compassionate individuals and helping them to calm their whole system. It's helping them retain more information. It's helping their attention levels so that they can actually spend more time on things with actual attention and pay attention to things. It's helping them jump reading groups. It's helping them with their maths. It's helping them become super learners, really. A parent rang me up last month, and she said, "Oh, he just wants me to tell you he's so proud of himself that he's helped his teacher today." And I said, "Oh, okay, what's happened?" And she said his teacher had lost something, and he asked her, she'd been looking for it for ages, and he said, "Miss, what have you lost?" So she told him what she'd lost, and he went, "Oh, it's in such and such." He's 6. So she looked at him, she left the room, she went to another room down the corridor, she went to a shelf in that room, she picked up this speaker that she'd not used for about 6 weeks, she brought it back into the room, and then she looked at me, she went, "How on earth did you know that was there?" And he just went,
Wow.
"I just did." Because the speed that they're actually able to process the brain is processing information now so quickly that it's opened up all these new neural pathways, is my understanding of what is happening. They've opened up these new neural pathways for them to actually get this information faster from here or here or here, because this bit has been sort of shifted out the way. All that brain fog that holds us back here, all those questions, that chatter that's here, gets shifted out the way, and then they can get it from all these other different parts of the brain. And I can see it happening. So when I'm teaching the children, that the older ones especially, they'll start to itch, they'll start to fiddle with their ears, their eyes will start to weep, the noses will run. All the same symptoms that happen when we start to yawn, of being that overheated head, starts to happen when they start to do this work, because their brain is literally working so furiously. You can't see it, but it's obviously working so furiously to process what's coming in from different parts of the brain, that I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. What I'm seeing here is so wow.
But like, it's
but then knowing how to deal with that's the skill. That's where the learning and the training and everything comes in.
Yeah, like you're there as a facilitator to kind of keep that open and build the momentum and to help them have the experiences that they're having. Like, wow. So
because I mean, it's a whole program, so they need to do the whole program, because at some point there will be a challenge of that shutting down a little bit or taking time to open up. Something will happen where they will then need to test their ability to bring that back, and the game of bringing that back and how that's going to happen. So it's really very interesting as to the whole program and how it runs. With each child, it's quite different.
Yeah, so you have to be in a one-to-one scenario in person, really, with the child, I guess.
Yes, we only teach this one-to-one, face-to-face. Once they're seeing, we can sort of bring in different things, etc., or another child, but only when they've been seeing for quite a number of weeks and very well.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? Like,
and it's so much fun for them when they actually get a play date of a friend coming round, and they can play games together or go to the park together. At Christmas, it was great because on TikTok you see all these Christmas games, and they've got these cups in a row, and people are getting the cup and bringing it back, and whoever gets all the line of cups back is the winner. Well, the kids were doing this blindfolded, and I'm like, this is just so much fun. This is fabulous.
Wow. And like, all of these experiences are totally like informing their future. Like, we seed our future in the present moment, is how I see it. So like, these experiences are all kind of formative for, like, God only knows what those kids will be doing in another couple of years.
Well, we've got a really good example, Susie, because the Art of Living in India, they've been doing this for a very long time. They're decades ahead of us. And they are taking whole schools. I mean, they're taking classrooms of children through these processes. And these children, for them now, are sort of 10 years plus ahead of us, and they are becoming top of the field in organizations, top of the field. These organizations want these kids because their intuition and their skill set is so unique. These are the children that organizations want in their business. They're as fast as AI in their field.
Wow.
They're doing things that AI can't do. These are the superhumans. These are the deeper humans that we are all going to need to become alongside AI, because we're not all going to be able to work in AI. So what are our kids going to do if they don't become superhuman and deepen into these precious gifts that we all have? We just didn't know how to unlock that next level. So the way I've just been working with sort of 120 schools over 7.5 weeks, and the way I describe the yawn going into the great big yawn going into seeing without eyes is, well, what are you going to do in the next 5 to 10 years? What job are you going to do in the next 5 to 10 years? And they come and they give me all these jobs, and I'm like, well, will AI not be doing that? Will AI be doing that? And the honest answer is we have no idea. We honestly have no idea if we're going to be sat next to a bot on a train. And how will we know if it's a bot in 10 years' time or a human being? How will we know that we feel safe wherever we are? And if I want to connect with a human being, how will I know it's really, truly a human being? And we've set up the Great Big Yawn, which was another gift that was sort of given to me for us to deepen humanness at the very core levels of boredom, apathy, and exhaustion. What is the very first signal of that? And the very first signal that we have as an indicator is the yawn. As soon as we see somebody yawn, the whole Western culture is, am I boring you? Oh, no, I'm just tired. Oh, me too. I didn't sleep last night. Now, that one action has perpetrated a whole negative chain reaction contagiously.
Yeah.
Contagiously. And we were never taught how to yawn. We learned how to yawn in the womb.
And suppress it. Like we were shown how to suppress the yawn because it's so rude to yawn. Like, so oh my God.
Yeah. So we yawn whilst we're in the womb. We've yawned before we ever took a first breath. But when we came out of the womb, we've all been conditioned to think that we're boring, we're rude, and we can't be bothered, and we're just exhausting.
Wow.
And it's so ingrained in us that we don't question it. We just repeat what everybody else has said to us. Oh, am I boring you? Oh, no, I'm just tired. That conversation is just literally habitually on repeat. Now, we know that with the power of intention is, if we can put our attention on that and turn it upside down, inside out, and any other way that we can, which is what the Great Big Yawn has been created for, to literally have as much fun with it as possible, but educate people along the way. And now, having worked with these schools, and then having this conversation of, well, what are you going to do if you're on a train in China and you're surrounded by bots and you want to know if there's a human being there? What's going to be the one thing that you'll be able to do to know it's a human being? Well, yawning is one of the most natural things that we can do. You will know if somebody yawns back at you, probably. You might know if somebody smiles at you. You might know if somebody's nose starts to run and eyes start to water, that they truly are a human being. And these might be the only subtle signs of humanity in the future that we might have. And our kids are so stuck to their phones right now, they're going to miss it if we don't start to put this into little workshops like we're doing now, and we're counting yawns. We're literally just creating safe rooms to talk about yawning, telling people you can yawn if you want to, but if you do, you've got to count them.
Wow.
Now, that very simple method has led us to 58,000 yawns with 5,000 children and teachers in the past 4 months.
Wow. How are you?
So
you're collecting a lot of data on this. Like, there's a lot of information that you're gathering, and you've done a lot of different groups, I guess. Like, how are you where's this data taking you? Like, where is all of this information leading you to? You know, do you have any idea?
Well, for me, it is cementing in what I already know. But because nobody could answer my questions that I had about yawning, I've had to create my own method of research, which, because my background is TV, I spent 20 plus years in TV. When I was gifted the Great Big Yawn, because I literally just sat down at my PC one day and I looked up 2 hours later and then burst out laughing because I'd created something called the Great Big Yawn. And I went, oh, that is so funny. I absolutely love it. I really can't do that though, can I? I thought, well, why not? You know, it's catchy, it's great. It's actually exactly everything that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So do it. So we set it up. I set it up 2 years ago as a community interest company. And within 12 months of just talking about yawning and it being one of the free resources that we've got that is contagious, I trained up 19 yawning ambassadors, and
Wow.
10 of those were in Africa. So Uganda, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Kenya, they got on board so quickly because there's no mental health help over there. And they'd created poems, Uganda wrote a whole anthem calling out for other Ugandans to come and join and become yawning ambassadors. It became so big in 12 months, I had to step back because I didn't have the foundations properly in place to do everything. So I had to draw it back and go, okay, this has got a life. This has completely got a life of its own. And I'm not really doing anything at the moment. I'm just talking about what we can do. And it's going, and I don't know what to do with it. I haven't got everything in place. So literally I've had to come back, put systems in place. We've got now the directory on board, has done all the totally inclusive logo and things like that, so that we've got the foundations for it to land. And then year 2 has literally been sort of very, very similar. It's just gone down its own path of every bit of research that I've gone into has taken me into a whole different realm.
Yeah.
It's attacks Parkinson's, heart disease, strokes, because excessive yawning is all part of those huge diseases. But every single study that I've looked at also shows that it provides a temporary cessation of symptoms. And then the research stops.
Are there people who can't yawn?
Yes, there are some people who can't yawn. There's people with jaw anomalies and things like that who can't yawn, and quite a lot of people on the spectrum will not be yawning a great deal. Medication can, grief, actually, I'm finding that grief is a massive contributor to people not yawning. Loss, abuse, domestic abuse, sexual abuse, all of those big issues, anything that is connected to you not wanting to talk.
Okay.
Because your jaw is the first thing to clamp down. It holds so much stress in our jaw. It's the most powerful part of our body, really, when you think about all the action that it does. But you think about how we feel when we're tense and we grind our teeth, and how we sleep, and how, you know, when we're so annoyed, we just can't talk through our teeth, and it's like, oh, I just want to. And as soon as people go into that, especially with the world right now, it's huge. It's where this actually takes us is absolutely huge. So it's a fun concept. We're counting yawns. We're having a lot of fun with it, but actually the depth of this is massive. It's massive from a scale of, it's helping people who have lost people, who have felt lost, who have been abused, who have lost themselves, come back to themselves. Because it's a subject that everyone can talk about and has something to offer, and it's a safe subject because nobody talks about it. So when they do, they feel like they belong.
So when you introduce the yawn in different scenarios or different organizations or demographics, it's kind of like a neutral entry point for everybody. Like it's a kind of a leveler, isn't it? Is that how it is?
There's instant rapport. Wherever you go, everybody can relate to a yawn. And then everyone will go, well, that's ridiculous. So it's instant rapport. And when you've completed those yawns that make you feel really good, how often have you giggled after you've yawned? The amount of times that I've worked with these children now who will literally in the space of 10 minutes, I have 12 minutes with them. In the space of 10 minutes, they will go from boredom, apathy, exhaustion, whatever you want to call it, yawning, into innate laughter. Job done.
Oh, regulation.
Yeah, well, mental health and well-being is talking about us being happy and joyful. And if you can do that in the space of 10 minutes, job done, isn't it? How do you know somebody's feeling joyful and happy? Well, they giggle. And it's not a forced giggle. It's one that is an innate laughter that is literally spontaneously gone into it. Okay, we don't need to wait for yoga at 6, 7 o'clock sound bath, therapy at 8, meditation at 9. We're doing this in 10-minute spells, but as a group where people feel inclusive, where there is belonging, where you can see other people doing exactly the same thing.
It's safe, I suppose, is what you're saying. It's held
Totally.
safe space. Yeah. Ramsey, I'll let you get a word in edgeways because I know I'm kind of hugging it a little bit because I'm fascinated. Sorry.
I have a lot of questions, but I'll start with a small one. If someone doesn't yawn, how do you bring them into the yawning world?
It's so beautiful. If people don't yawn, that's absolutely okay, because this might not be their safe space right now. This is a seed that we're planting for everybody to go home and play with. And when they do their next great big yawn, because it is the great big one, the one that makes your eyes water and your ears buzz and your mouth feel like you're going to eat the room. It's that yawn that we are talking about. That's the fun yawn. That's the one that makes you feel like, oh yeah, I really want to, stretch out. So the next time they have that yawn, unfortunately, they're going to remember me or the other yawning ambassadors. They're going to remember the conversation and go, oh, this is my safe space. It's with my nan or with the dog, or it's in the biscuit tin, or it's with my mum, or it's in the bath. And then they're going to know where their safe space is, and they're going to smile and go, oh, that's okay then.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. And because the conversation went so fast, I couldn't jump in. I just have a couple of questions that might lead us back to square one when we started this podcast. Are all the children have this hyperspeed thinking, or is it just a small percentage of them that come to you? Was my question clear? I don't know.
Yeah, you mean this for seeing without eyes, reading?
Yes.
They're all different, and they all come for different reasons. So some of the parents, well, let's really go from the parents' perspective, because it's them that are bringing the children to me. So for some of the parents, they might have seen Superhuman. They may have seen the videos. They've seen these things, and I'm the nearest person to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they come to me through that process. Some of these children are, some of them are only 6. The ones that are coming frequently at the moment, they're sort of 6 years of age. So, and they're the cutest little things. They've got these tiny little voices, so they're just adorable little kids, and I have half an hour with them. These are not problem kids. Kids are not a problem. Kids are not a problem. So whatever it is that we think that there is a problem about, this program turns them into Jedis, or whatever it is that we want to call them. They are not a problem. This is allowing kids to be something so much more than they were ever thought that they could be. It surpasses any issue that they could have had.
Yeah.
And turning them into a Jedi is a beautiful terminology. I love Star Wars. There are new Star Wars, new Jedis.
Yeah. And kids' imaginations, they don't see what adults see. They see that they might not fit in somewhere, but okay, let me fit in and I'll be a wizard or whatever it is that they want to call themselves, the Jedis or whatever.
Mm.
They all come up with their own little name for themselves as to how they
But
want to be portrayed.
do some of these kids basically suppress their who they are, and that leads them into other issues where the parents can't see?
I think they were doing that.
Oh, I
They
see.
were doing that, but when they come to me, they stop doing that. They might then regress back into that if they don't keep up with the work that we've done. And because we're not at that stage yet where we're doing this en masse and we haven't got a school that's open for them to come into, there is a probability with any therapy that we do or anything like that, if you don't keep on top of it, it rebuilds back up again with the new stuff that comes in, doesn't it? And that'll be the same for the children. So unless they're, we encourage them to keep on top of this, because using this skill, as we can see from what's happening in America and India, these could be the super leaders.
Yeah.
The conversations I'm having with the 10-year-olds who are telling me that they believe, and sometimes, I find that I'm sat and I'm just talking to these children because they don't have anyone else to talk to about what they are seeing, about what is coming through for them. And we might not do any of the work that the parents think that we're going to do, but I deal with whatever is presented to me at the time. It's like the yawn. If a child is going to tell me that they're itchy or tired, I'll deal with the itch and the tiredness before we get to the seeing without eyes. I don't let anything go. Everything is caught and dealt with before we get to that next stage.
Yeah, it's really being very present with them by the sounds of things. And
it is. What I'm feeling is, that's purely because if I don't deal with I've learned that if I don't deal with my idiosyncrasies, that my itches, my yawns, my innate giggles, all the things that I've had difficulty accepting as part of me, the yawn being one of them, I had real trouble accepting that yawn and my then innate giggle that would happen after, which takes me immediately to joy. I can literally, in the space of a minute, retch, yawn and giggle in less than a minute, because I will span that range of emotion that quickly, because that's what my body is now sort of conditioned to do with the therapies and the work that I've done. My body goes with me on the journey at the same speed as my thoughts. And I can see what's happening with the children because they're like me. I go, oh, I know where you're at. I can deal with that. This is what we're going to do this. And then we can move on to that. And they go, right. And I go, great.
Wow. It feels like you have a lot of fun when you're working. You can't even probably call it work. It sounds like it's play.
Oh, it's all play. It's all play. It's not like work at all. It's the deepest honor. It is the deepest honor doing this with the children and with the great big yawn and all the work that I do. It's when you're able to create that life that you want to live.
Yeah.
Every day is in awe and wonder.
Is this all heightened intuition? So like it sounds like it's like when you develop as an adult intuition or the capacity for mediumship. That's how Ramsey and I met, was when we were doing Awakened Mind, and it was the way we ended up doing it was through mediumship, which I didn't realize we'd signed up for. But anyway, I keep saying that, and for 2 years we were able to kind of sit and there was no way in. It's just a state of being. There was it just would happen, I think, when you allowed it, or when the environment was set up, or, we were in a Zoom with a group of people who were in agreement to do this. And then the information would just be there. And it was always fascinating to me, like, where was this information before I came and sat in front of my computer?
Yes.
Where was it before that? And there's that part of you where, when you relax into it, you can kind of turn down the noise of your rational mind, and then information kind of flows in, and you just, I always say just throw it at the person, throw it out there, leave it land and see what happens. Like, I see you're having a good yawn.
And that's exactly right, Susie, because what exactly happens is whenever people are going into that deeper state that you've just described, the question...
I got a yawn, aren't you? Oh. So refreshing.
I have to deepen into that, and then I talk slower, because I will speed up and speed up and speed up, which is why Ramsey's had trouble catching up with me, because I'll keep going, and then and then I immediately go into joy. So literally, so I've even forgot what I'm saying now. You go into that place where whatever message needs to come through, like you were saying, needs to come through, and you release immediately what doesn't need to be released. And we forget that chatter at the frontal lobe here. And that frontal lobe has to disappear for you to be in that zone as a medium. It has to disappear for that remote viewer. It has to disappear for us to do that seeing without eyes for the ICU Academy. It has to disappear for any deep work. It has to disappear with breath work for you to go deeper into that next realm of deepening into that next breath. A lot of people who do breath work will notice, and if they haven't, they'll probably make the connection after watching this, that they will probably have to yawn to go deeper into that next stage of becoming grounded, deeply grounded in your own body. And to me, the yawn is taking us so that our body feels so completely safe, it can function in that highly intuitive zone. Because if your body isn't feeling safe, you'll kick it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with those practices, like, breath work and, expanded consciousness or heightened intuition, mediumship, is there, like, when we were kind of studying that together, there was a big emphasis on developing your imagination, working in the imaginal realm, like reducing down the kind of logic and reason, and developing more creativity and things like that. And I think from the awakened mind perspective, it was like that the right and left hemispheres of the brain would kind of light up, kind of almost like in a how would you explain that, Ramsey? Like
synchronize.
Yeah, like they would look like an even pattern, if that makes sense, on the brain scan, as opposed to just being all one side or another. Like awakened mind, from what I was learning, was kind of some sort of, I forget the actual kind of parts of the brain that like were working on that, but it was like different states, like theta, and I think it's alpha,
delta, theta, beta, all of those.
It's those three, and then sometimes a heightened increase of gamma waves then as well when there's a flood of information. Like, so the whole thing could light up then when it reached a certain kind of point, is from what I understood. Would it be similar with the kids?
Absolutely, because I remember watching a video with Dan Brule, who's like expert in breath work, and someone sent me this video, and he was talking about the science and the experiments that were putting plugging them in to the head and them doing breath work. And actually, one of the most impressive bits of data that they ever got was actually when somebody yawned, and it lit up their whole brain, just like Einstein. So when your whole brain is lit up like Einstein or a Tibetan monk, it basically means you're able to get to those parts of your brain faster. Because you might want to get information from here, but you can't because the brain fog's in the way. So you get the brain fog out of the way with your yawn, because that cools you down. You can get to here, wherever you need to go. And that's what's happening with breath work, with emotional freedom technique, with meditation, with sound bath, whatever it is that's happening, that resonance, that coherence, that vibration is shifting things out of the way for our brain to process that information. Now, if our brain is that processor, a bit like AI, and it's costing trillions to cost out, to trillions and trillions just to cool down AI, how much is our coolant? Oh, yours free.
Yeah.
Should we not be using that a little bit more then? Should we not be experimenting with it? Should we not be playing with it? Should we not doing as much as possible so that we're at least on a par with AI and having as much fun with it as possible? Because AI is fun. But we're so much more fun because AI cannot and is not as creative as us.
That's true.
We've only got to look at babies to know that. Toddlers.
Yeah. Wow. So, like, what else? Like, I know your work isn't limited to the reading, without eyes, and the yawnathon. You're doing a lot of other work as well. I know you've done retreats and you've been working with the land. So, I want to make sure that we cover it all if we can in our call today.
Well, like you said, Susie, it's like I have to. If I don't go where I'm led, I end up in physical pain. I end up with so much brain fog. I can't move. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I can't function. So when I wake up with that message of this is where you need to be and this is what you need to do, I've learned to follow it. So people will get random phone calls from me at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning. I go, oh, right, we need to do this next. Do you fancy coming with me? And they'll either say yay or nay. But then it became, after I'd got a message that I needed to do some ancient sites, of which I knew nothing about them and I'd never done one in my life, that I needed to go and do the Dragon's Line from Land's End to the Orkneys on this very specific trail. I was like, really? That's a lot of work. That's a really big effort. And I'm a real home bird. I don't really go. I've got my incredible edible garden that I've set up. I like to grow my vegetables. I've got my little community. I don't need to go very far. But I knew I had to do it. So I managed to cram that into a space of 6 weeks because I had to be in Inverness to do a course with a colleague of mine. And it got to a couple of weeks before I was meant to be there. And I thought, oh, I know I'm going to do the Scottish sites whilst I'm up there. So I've really got to get a move on and do down south before. Had a chat with a few friends, said, right, I'm going on my trip. And they went, oh, can we come? So two friends, two of my trainees from my TARC EFT course came with me. We took 3 dogs, 3 women, and we went together and did 6 sites. Wow. And then came home. And then I did another 3 or 4 sites with my Brian partner. And then I went up to Scotland and did those trails and learned had my own understanding of what those sites meant for me. Then I did the research on what they were about. So I did all my own journaling. I dowsed the sites. I dowsed the vibration of the sites. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing it for my own interest. Then I found out that Arthur's Seat, by the time I got to Arthur's Seat, I couldn't get to the top of Arthur's Seat where everybody was going. There's like a ledge and everybody goes to that top. Physically, it was like there was an invisible barrier that stopped me from getting there. And I couldn't walk through it. It was like, really, this is really embarrassing. It's like, why am I not going there? And I was drawn to this Arthur's Seat would probably be the crack in the bottom, I would say.
Yeah.
There. And it was beautiful and green. And then this flock of birds came in and they were making an absolute racket. And it really drew my attention down into this area. And I thought, yeah, that's where I want to be. I'm just going to go down there. So I ended up sitting down there and put my crystals round and sat down and did a meditation. And then suddenly realized I was probably in the walkway that everybody was going down. And just as I'd sat there with my eyes closed and doing everything I was supposed to be doing, that I thought I was supposed to be doing, there was this almighty crack of thunder. I mean, it was absolutely huge. And I opened my eyes. And this woman who was in front of me, she just turned around and she looked at me and she went, did you? The whole look was like, did you do that? So I just looked at her and I thought, and it was like this telepathic communication going between us. So I just laughed internally and went, Yeah, I think I did actually. Isn't it funny? And then sort of looked around, and it was just this huge crack of thunder and lightning. And what I'd been meditating on was so profoundly connected to that, it literally took my breath away completely. It was really, really profound. And at that moment, I thought, I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing because these messages are just getting more and more powerful. And it's real fun. So that's what I do now. Every month now, I take people with me and I douse. We do an activation about 4 to 5 days before. We don't know where we're going until I've done that activation because I'm very reactive. And if I tune into a site, I get that information very, very quickly. So because of everything else I've got to do, I have to now be very clean with my energy and make sure I'm only tuning in when I've got the time and the space to do that. So everything is now getting much cleaner with how I direct my time. It's much more intentional. It's much more focused. And I'm teaching people how to do that, how to manage their own signals, what their signals might mean, what information is coming through for them, how to deal with that, what that might mean next, where to go. And they're learning their protocols because they will be different from mine. But because I've physically gone through it, I can give them some guidance with that.
And does everybody have a slightly different experience at the same site? So if there are 3 of you, 3 dogs, 3 women, one location, is it comparable? Is it totally different?
Every site is different.
Yeah.
Every site is different. It gives you unique information, but there is a pattern and a story that will be very pertinent to each person, and then an overall story that will go on that trip, that quest, so to speak. The people that go on each site visit will probably be given a part of a story for them to experience. Somebody might get the negative part, she says, as I'm burping into that.
Yeah.
And it will be disgusting. And the burp is very much related to disgust. Okay. So when that comes up, to clear that disgust that might be a burp or the other end going, you'll know that that has shifted into a more gentle state when you can then yawn quite quickly afterwards. Or it might be that you might giggle straight after it. So when that happens, you'll notice now that my voice has actually changed and become a little bit softer just from
yawning.
So these are all the really minute things that I now notice that I'm able to guide people through. So each person will get a different, unique bit of the story. Somebody might get innate joy. Somebody might get the mother wound, the child wound, the grandmother, the aunt, the father wound, whatever it is. There will be a playing out of that. Sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes it's up to a week to 2 weeks afterwards, which is why we have the integration afterwards to make sure that people who want to join us in that, can join in and know what's happening. And understand that their role, that they actually had a role in the bigger picture, so that they don't feel that they're always going to be the negative one if they go to another site.
Yeah. So like they're self-selecting, obviously, and it's almost like a predetermined sort of or self-organizing, let's say, kind of experience. If you're intuitively being guided to a location, and then the people kind of show up, and then the roles kind of like it becomes evident as you get there. As you said, you don't really plan it out. You just try to stay very present and clear, and then obviously there must be other parts of it maybe that you haven't even kind of touched on yet. But do you think that I've heard a few people who are working with the land talking about kind of reconnecting kind of ley lines and old pilgrim paths and stuff like that some people go in there very with a different level of consciousness or state of consciousness can kind of do these sort of activations, sometimes the land activating them or vice versa, the person activating the land. Do you find something similar happening?
Yeah, Yeah, we go in with an activation, so that, like I said, that 4 to 5 days before we'll meet on Zoom, and I will open up an activation to prepare people for the site that we're going to, because I am finding that I am not being guided, strangely enough, like everybody else. It'd be so much easier if it was, and I could just follow everyone's ley line journey and do all of that. But no, I find that I'm being given very specific areas that I need to go to, or information that will come in for, and I have great resistance for this, great resistance, because I'd like to just go to all the nice little sites, you know what I mean? I just want to go to the nice sites I'd like to go to because they're pretty and they're nice, and it's a lovely well, or it's a nice ancient site, and I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
But if I don't listen to where I'm being guided, I know I won't be able to go to the next lovely site because I've not done the work that needs to be done. So, for example, I was guided through probably the 5th or the 6th site that we went to for a very local site, which was Radcliffe Tower. Now, Radcliffe Tower is in Bury, which is my hometown. And Radcliffe Tower is actually my actually, I can't even say it. Is actually my cousin is the one of the Radcliffes, of the original Radcliffes.
Okay.
And of course, when you're a kid, you don't take any notice, do you? It's just like, you know, they were talking about it, and I took a bit of information in, and then we got on, and we were just kids together. And the same with adults. And then I end up living in Bury, and I realised that Radcliffe's Tower down the road. But I only realised this when I started to do the ancient sites.
Yeah.
And then by the time I was told that I needed to go to Radcliffe, it was very much about taking landowners needing to take back ownership of the land and really honour what has been and what can be.
Mm-hmm.
How it has been ravaged and pillaged, but also about how all these different roles that people who might have been in a position of power, but they didn't really want to be. It reminded me a little bit of perhaps the royal family type things. You're put into a role, you don't really want it, but you've got to do it because you've been put there. And they don't really know what to do with it. They're making it up as they go along, just like we all are in each position that we are. And that was the same information I was getting from the previous old Radcliffes that with the landowners. They didn't really know that what they were doing. Some of them weren't very well educated, even though they were in that hierarchy, and they were struggling. But they were abusive to their role, because so many people are.
Mm.
And then it was the female role of, well, what have we taken on? And what have we been subjugated to? And can we regain some of that power back now? So there were so many roles at Radcliffe Tower that needed to play out and be acknowledged. And there were 11 of us at that site. And we got back here and had something to eat. And there was this huge almighty eruption of basically some ladies literally played out the roles of what we've been talking about. And it was very personal. It was like it was their stuff, but it wasn't. It was, we could see exactly what roles they were playing out of the energies that had been brought up. And it was really, really interesting to witness that and hold that space. And hold that space really, really potently without breaking that circle. Every single person could have left and not at any point, but we all chose to stay in that circle and hold that space in the most loving, beautiful way for that energy to shift. And it was really potent.
I love how
and then the next site was winter solstice, and it was beautiful and gleeful and gorgeous.
Thank God.
Yeah, it was. So it's sometimes it's the smaller sites that are not talked about, that are not as visited as regularly, that have that need the most acknowledgement. And I would say they just want acknowledging. They want reconnecting to the other sites so that they feel like they belong somewhere. So the activation of new landlines, I would say, that we're creating, because we're not now traveling the old, although they're on the ley lines, we're following our own path, which connects in very geometrical lines, and that's the data that we're collecting. The data of our journey and what that means from this new version of what we're creating.
Yeah. I want to ask you a quick question. It's so interesting. Are we recreating a new ley lines?
I believe so.
Like you were describing everything, and to me, all I could see is new lines coming out, like new passageways. It's like the brain where the neurons start firing and then they start to connect from a different place, because that place kind of like, oh, I don't want to work today, so they kind of go around it and form new connections. So basically, we're.
I believe so. Who knows? But I believe so. We certainly can't prove it. We're collecting the data along the way to prove what we are doing. We're taking water samples, so we've got a weirder scope. So as you know, the weirder scope from Broughton with the Go Weird guys, we've got the random event generator, and that comes with us on all the sites. So we're collecting data with a graph, and we're blind putting all the times of the ceremonies and things down that we're doing to see if there are any peaks or troughs within those times with the weirder scope. So we have that information. And then I was thinking, well, how else can we see if we're affecting our environment? What else can we measure? So now we take water samples, and we have water samples that we have, and we measure it before, as we get there, and then we measure it after we're finished. And every single water sample changes, every single one. Wow. And I also douse people. So I douse people's energy before and after to see if that changes. So we've now got three methods that we are systematically checking. And everybody's journal notes, and those journal notes are deeply profound and cross-reference in so many different areas and in so many different sites and so much depth.
Yeah.
It's very profound. In fact, when we went to Silverdale, AI Atlas was literally just coming. I can't remember where it was, but AI Atlas was very prevalent when we went to that site. There was a lot of cosmic alignments going on, and 34 days later, there was a 3.4 earthquake that happened literally just off where we blended the well water with the sea. Now, we didn't cause that. I'm sure we didn't cause that, but we were certainly guided to that area at that time to do something there, to do the work that we were doing there, which is very interesting.
It is. It's amazing that like similar to you, when I've been in the UK in the last few years, we like with different groups of women, you know, under the guise of a retreat, but really the retreat is about following the guidance, what is happening in the moment with this particular group in this particular location. Not that we'd know what we were going into. Mostly, nobody really knew, and nobody had an agenda, but everybody was being informed through their intuition when we were there. And yeah, it was really fascinating kind of when you allow it. I think that was the biggest part for all of us, was just surrendering, being there, allowing. And I remember noticing that like a lot of correlations happening. Like I could be sitting later that evening on the sofa with somebody and two of us are having the exact same thought. Like I might be thinking of saying it, but then she says it and I'm like, oh my God, I was literally having that thought, you know? So lots of kind of, I don't know, things were happening, which for me were always kind of reassuring maybe, but kind of reaffirming, I would imagine, really, that, okay, there's something happening here. Like I had been in this location a year before, And I knew certain things that happened at a certain point, but I didn't tell anybody about that. They didn't know that.
Mm.
And this other woman from the US was there, and she had the dowsing rods, and she went straight to that location, you know, and there's nothing there that would give you any inclination that this was a specific point, a very you know, a certain point. And then I was just watching how at different times different people all gravitated, you know, to the same part of a site, or, you know, and then, like you said, you kind of integrate it, and you know, you move on, like, and you're guided to the next place, essentially. And you kind of can't even afford to get caught up in the last place, because you're kind of moving on to the next one, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting in hindsight, like you said, it is really interesting when you come back and you,
Yeah.
like, it'll be interesting too when you look at the information on your weirdoscope, you know, what's happening there.
Yeah, it really it is so interesting, because we're now coming up to our 9th month, so it'll be our 9th, probably a bit more than 9 sites, but it'll be our 9th month, because some sites were sort of some days we've covered more than one site. But the data that is coming in, obviously, it's becoming more challenging now for me to keep on top of that data, because the connections now between all those sites are just huge. And so it's been quite nice for the past couple of sites that we've had less people, because with less people, I can manage that data a little bit easier. But now we're reaching the stage where some of the people who the whole point of these quests is that by the time we've done sort of 12 months, people who followed us on this journey are then going to be able to run their own sessions, because they'll have had the fieldwork experience to do it. Because I really don't believe, you know, you can just do you can't just do an online course for this sort of stuff. This is very deep personal work that you have to experience. And some of the ladies now who've experienced it and what that physically means for them, not just what are they seeing and connecting to, but what does their body tell them as well? Because your body has to go with you on this journey.
Mm.
It has to physically go with you on this journey. And I know that so many people sort of cut that part out. And for me, the fun is with the body being involved.
Yeah.
It gives me so much more. It gives me so much more and awe and wonder, actually, as to, well, perhaps this is what my body is actually for. It is a walking, talking pendulum. And if I allow my walking, talking pendulum to go and do what it wants and go in the direction it wants, what can we be as human beings? And I'm so fed up now of going where everybody else has wanted me to go, in a direction that I don't like, I don't understand, and makes me feel bloody awful. Why should I keep doing it? The direction being led to go on is so profoundly beautiful.
Wow.
It's the only one I want to follow. And I have no idea what that means, which is why it's so exciting. We should be excited about life. We should be doing it in awe. We should be doing it in wonder. And we should all be doing that.
Absolutely.
True. Rachel, I have like tons of questions, and I think we should go deeper in certain points that you brought up. They were all beyond interesting, at least for me. And unfortunately, we're past the hour, and we would love to have you again in a couple of weeks or whenever you are available. And one thing to take from all of this, and you said it at the end, is that stop going where everybody wants to take you and go where you feel is right for you. Mm-hmm. And I think humanity, we lost our way and we just follow the crowd, and we have to do certain things whereby we get sick and we can't even yawn anymore. Yeah. And on that advice, I think that will help us release a lot of stuck emotions within us and become ourselves, okay, and allowing ourselves to yawn. And with that, I would like to close. And if somebody wants to reach out to you, you can you have liveforenergy.co.uk, or they can check out your website, thegreatbigyawn.org. And also they can reach you by email at rachel@lifeforenergy.co.uk. And by the way, all these links are in our YouTube. I'll just add the Great Big Yawn to it at the bottom.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank everybody because I'm yawning nonstop now. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. And definitely we will have Rachel on another time. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rachel. I've really enjoyed this. I could talk for at least another 2 hours.
Thank you so much.